Hi, and welcome to today's Daily Chronicles. Today is Thursday, February 26th, 2026. Influencers are promoting peptides for better health. What does the science say? Search the term peptides, and a long list of online retailer options will pop up. You'll be offered vials of molecules with funky names that sound like exoplanets. GHK, CU, CJC12, thymosin beta 4. These synthetic peptides are growing popular among biohackers and wellness influencers. They take them, often via injection, in hopes to enhance athletic performance and optimize health. Among scores of enthusiasts online, fitness TikToker Noah James claimed in a recent video that the peptide BPC 157 healed his shoulder injury. I absolutely love this stuff. Like many influencers taking up peptides, his profile links to a discount code for an online retailer. NPR reached out to Noah J through his TikTok and Instagram accounts for a comment and to ask if he receives any income from the peptide sales, but he did not receive a reply. But there are risks when using substances that aren't approved by the Food and Drug Administration for human use. Here's what doctors and scientists say about the trend. The claim: various synthetic peptides stimulate natural biological processes that can improve one's health and appearance. Different peptides often have different claims, but some of the most popular ones are muscle growth, better immune functioning, and slower aging. The evidence: peptides are chains of amino acids. There are millions of them in the human body. Some signal your body to do important things like regulate immune function, grow certain cells, and control hormones. They are well known synthetic peptides that are FDA approved. Effective medicine: insulin is one, as is the active ingredient of GLP-1 obesity drugs. But many of other peptides you can buy are, at best, experimental, and their purported benefits are unproven. Most of the research has been in animals or labs, not humans, says Paul Knopfler, a cell and molecular biologist at University of California, Davis. Depending on the peptide and its application, the science can make theoretical sense, he says. Knopfler warned that using an untested peptide could cause serious harm. For example, some animal studies suggest BPC 157 helps with tissue repair because it accelerates the growth of new blood cell vessels. Knopfler cautioned that this peptide could theoretically also encourage the growth of precancerous cells. You must test these in clinical trials to be sure of anything positive or negative, he says. Knopfler also notes that the same substance that's helpful at one dose might be ineffective or even harmful at another dose. You can't just make up what dose to take, he says. But without further research, the therapeutic dose is unknown. There's often no apparent rhyme or reason to the wellness peptide doses people are taking. He adds, anyone determined to try them should consult a physician. Knopfler says, some are open to alternative approaches, and it's better to talk to a doctor than pretend you're one yourself, agrees Howard Sklamberg, a former FDA deputy commissioner. At least you're talking to a doctor. You're talking to somebody who can, theoretically, be held accountable. Dr. Amanda Kahn runs a concierge medical practice in Midtown Manhattan. And as many other patients come to her seeking a second or third opinions for issues like inflammation or chronic pain. Khan says in some instances the popularity of peptides has outpaced the science, but she would prescribe them as an adjunct therapy if she thinks it's appropriate. She told NPR that she makes sure patients understand that these drugs are experimental. I don't overpromise that this is a cure at all, she says. The marketplace. Some people are buying and injecting peptides without a doctor's involvement, purchasing them from online sellers. This includes research-grade peptides, which state on the label they're not for pharmaceutical use. But Khan and Knopfler warned that these products could include solutions or contaminants that are toxic, and they say people should not purchase peptides without consulting a physician. Doctors who prescribe them generally send patients to compounding pharmacies. They are specialized pharmacies that can prepare tailored versions of drugs for individual patients. Peptides are not FDA approved, including many of the popular ones touted by influencers, cannot be obtained from a normal pharmacy. Part of the problem is that, with some exceptions, these pharmacies are not regulated the same way as drug manufacturers, and that can make compounded products riskier, says Sklamberg. That's been a long-standing challenge for FDA for many years, says Sklamberg, who added that when compounding pharmacies produce large quantities of medication, quality control is more of a concern. Scott Brunner, the chief executive officer of Alliance for Pharmacy Compounding, says compounding pharmacies are licensed and inspected by state boards of pharmacy. This regulatory framework isn't weaker, just different, he argues. The oversight is rigorous and appropriate for a pharmacy making one drug for one patient that's been prescribed by a doctor, he says. In an email statement, the FDA told NPR that it is working to develop lists of bulk drug substances that can be used in compounding. Currently, certain peptides are on an FDA list of substances with significant safety concerns, and it's risky to purchase peptides that are marketed as supplements. Sklamberg says these products could be viewed as unregulated drugs, though the volume of online retail makes it difficult for the FDA to go after every bad actor. When it comes to peptides, it's really kind of a Wild West, he says. Bottom line, some of the popular peptides marketed online might have potential health and wellness benefits, but most haven't been well studied for efficacy, and safety in humans, so taking them is a gamble. Consulting a physician and purchasing peptides from a compounding pharmacy can mitigate some risk. Still, these drugs are experimental, and the long-term health consequences are unknown. Surgeon General nominee means question about vaccines, birth control, and financial conflicts. Dr. Casey Means, nominee for Surgeon General, testifies during a confirmation hearing Wednesday before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. President Trump's Surgeon General nominee, Dr. Casey Means, testified before Senate on Wednesday in her bid to be confirmed as the nation's top doctor. The hearing was a long time coming for Means, a wellness influencer, entrepreneur, and author, who had to delay the confirmation hearing in late October because she was pregnant and went into labor. During her testimony, Means praised Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s leadership and echoed many of the talking points of his Make America Healthy Again agenda, while sidestepping pointed questions about the administration's controversial actions on vaccines and other issues. In a back and forth between Means and Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, chairman of the Senate Health, Education, Labor and Pension Committee, she said that she believes vaccines save lives, but stopped short of encouraging mothers to have their kids vaccinated against measles and flus. She said that it is a matter of conversation, and informed consent between doctors and parents. Doctors and patients. Later, when pressed by Senator Tim Kaine, a Democrat from Virginia, on whether she agreed with Kennedy's statements that there's a lack of evidence on the efficacy of the flu vaccine, Means actually agreed that at the population level, the shot does lower the risk of injury or hospitalization. She took a similar track when she asked about the debunked link between autism and vaccines, when she has been promoted by Kennedy and many of his allies. I do accept that evidence, and I also think that science has never settled. Means said in a response to a line of questioning from Senator Bernie Sanders, an independent from Vermont. Means said that she supported Kennedy's current effort to look at all environmental factors that could be contributing to autism. She added, vaccines are not part of my core message. In podcast appearances and online, Means has expressed concerns about the safety of the childhood vaccine schedule and questioned hormonal birth control. She has also endorsed raw milk, as has Kennedy. I absolutely think that oral contraception should be widely accessible, she said in a response to a question about birth control pills from Cassidy, a physician, who asked in part if they should be made available without a prescription. I believe especially when it comes to oral contraceptives, we need to have patients having a conversation with their doctor about risks and benefits, she said during the hearing. Means has grown her public profile in the last few years, primarily through a book on diet and health she called Good Energy, and appearances on high-profile podcasts. She often joined by her brother and co-author Callie Means, who served as an advisor. To Health Secretary Kennedy. Her nomination has faced considerable pushback from the medical and public health establishment, in part because she lacks the clinical experience of past Surgeon General. She is less qualified professionally than any other Surgeon General in history. There's no question about that, said Dr. Georges Benjamin, CEO of the American Public Health Association. Means graduated from Stanford Medical School, but dropped out of surgical training to become a head and neck surgeon. She went on to open a functional medicine practice in Oregon, though she stopped seeing patients a few years ago and doesn't currently have an active medical license. At the hearing, she said she has no plans to reactivate her license, if confirmed. Her focus has been on nutrition, the country's high rate of chronic diseases, and the failure of the medical system to address root causes of poor health. Similar to Kennedy, she points to the harms of ultra-processed foods, environmental toxins, poor lifestyle, and the overuse of pharmaceuticals, among other culprits. Every American shares core yearning to thrive and help their families thrive, But we are asking people to make healthy choices in environments that are squarely structured against them, she said in her opening statement to the committee. Our bodies are telling us this current path is totally unsustainable. There is another way, a path that unites rigorous science with reverence of our miraculous bodies and planets, she added. Alongside her book, Means runs a company called Levels. She promotes the use of continuous glucose monitors and also sells various supplements and wellness products on her website. Means has agreed to divest from her companies, it confirmed as Surgeon General. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut grilled her on a pending complaint that she violated FTC rules by failing to disclose financial relationships to products she has promoted. This seems systemic, said Murphy. It seems that the majority of the instances in which you were, as a medical professional, recommending a product, you were hiding the fact that you had a financial partnership. Means said that the assertions were false, and she'd follow up with his staff. Known as the nation's top doctor, the Surgeon General leads the more than 6,000 members of the U.S. Public Health Service, which includes physicians, nurses, and scientists working at various federal agencies. The Surgeon General serves in the Department of Health and Human Services and issues public advisories and reports to convey health information to the public. The committee hearing concluded after more than 2 hours of testimony without a vote. Top House Democrats want Justice Department to explain missing Trump-related Epstein files. House Oversight and Government Reform Committee ranking members Representative Robert Garcia speaks during a hearing last month. The top Democrat on the House Oversight Committee is asking the Justice Department for answers after NPR's investigation revealed Epstein files related to President Trump are missing from public record. In a letter first shared with NPR, ranking member Robert Garcia, Democrat from California, is asking Attorney General Pam Bondi to explain why what appeared to be dozens of pages of interviews and interview notes related to allegations of sexual abuse against Trump were not among 3 million pages released in recent months. We are witnessing a White House cover-up of serious allegations against the president by a survivor. Garcia said in a statement to NPR. We demand Attorney General Pam Bondi come clean about why these documents are being hidden, comply with our legally binding subpoena by sharing all records, and tell the American people if their president is under investigation for allegations of sexual assault. NPR's previous reporting found internal FBI and Justice Department outline documents related to allegations from a woman who, according to documents within the database, claimed that around 1983, when she was about 13 years old, Jeffrey Epstein introduced her to Trump, who subsequently forced her head down to his exposed penis, which she subsequently bit. In response, Trump punched her in the head and kicked her out. Records released last month show the FBI interviewed the woman 4 times, but only one of those interviews has been published in the Justice Department's public Epstein files database. In response to these disturbing revelations, DOJ refused to address the specific reasoning for the withholding of these materials, noting that it is suppressing documents that are duplicates, privileged, or part of an ongoing federal investigation. Garcia wrote in the letter. Garcia wrote that Bondi and the Justice Department have to explain why those documents have been withheld, and more specifically, if there is an active investigation into the sexual abuse allegations against the president. The American people demand transparency and accountability, and any further delay by the department continues to deny justice to the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. He wrote, DOJ must specify the exact grounds for the withholding of FBI interviews and containing specific allegations against President Trump, as well as provide an update on the status of any ongoing investigations into allegations of sexual assault against Trump. The Justice Department has continued to defend its handling of the Epstein files release in offering differing responses to questions from NPR, other outlets, and lawmakers. Monday, a DOJ spokeswoman declined to answer questions on the record about these files. These specific files, what's in them, and why they are not published. After NPR's report published Tuesday, the Justice Department reached out to NPR, taking issue with how its responses to questions were framed. Justice Department spokeswoman Natalie Baldassare reiterated DOJ's stance that any documents not published are privileged, duplicates, or relate to an ongoing federal investigation. Wednesday, a Justice Department X account said that they were reviewing discovery documents included in the criminal case against Ghislaine Maxwell, and should any document be found to have improperly tagged in the review process and is responsive to the act, the department will of course publish it and consistent with the law. As the Department of Justice has consistently said and has done since the January 30th, 2026 publication of the Epstein files, if any member of the public, including victims, reported concerns with the information of the pages, and department would review, make any corrections. When asked for comment earlier this week about the missing pages and the accusations against the president, a White House spokeswoman told NPR that Trump has done more for Epstein victims than anyone before him. Just as President Trump has said, he's been totally exonerated on anything related to Epstein. White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson told NPR in a statement, and by releasing thousands of pages of documents, cooperating with the House Oversight Committee's subpoena request, signing the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and calling for more investigations into Epstein's Democrat friends, President Trump has done more for Epstein's victims than anyone before him. Meanwhile, Democrats like Hakeem Jeffries and Stacey Plaskett have yet to explain why they were soliciting money and meetings from Epstein after he was a convicted sex offender. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have been investigating the Justice Department's handling of the Epstein files and the release of documents required by law. Garcia said yesterday a parallel investigation would be opened into these missing documents.